March in Ponyville was a month of relative calamity. Preparations for winter wrap-up gripped the attention of the town from the first of the month till the last vestiges of winter was gone. Earth ponies sharpened their skates, checked and double-checked their plows for faults, and collected the seeds needed for the next growing season. The Pegasi ran long endurance runs around the Everfree Forest and through Whitetail Woods to build their strength and stamina for the marathon run to the southern latitudes, while the weather team practiced their cloud-busting techniques. Those which remained gathered the supplies needed to rouse the hibernating creatures in the area. So imagine the celebrations which would ensue if the town was granted a day to kick back, relax, and just all-around party mere days before the tedious task of bringing spring into season. Officially, no such day existed. But for those within the Moonlight Tavern, on the eve of St. Patrick's Day, it might as well have been the Creta equestrian holiday by Celestia herself. The patrons of the tavern bobbed merrily to the tune of the live band placed at the back of the room. Cardboard shamrocks, as well as their natural counterparts, could be found dotting the walls or spread across tables. Green bunting and streamers hung from the rafters, while many guests wore varying shades and hues of green. Some wore hats and vests, others glasses. One even arrived in a full emerald suit to mark the occasion. As Mr. Jigger, the owner and bartender of his little tavern, looked over the scene, he could see nothing but smiles on all those present. All except for one.
Jigger, pour me another, and get a frosty one for the birthday cult. He needs to loosen up.
2 mugs were promptly filled and slid down the length of the bar into the waiting host of a ruddy brown stallion.
Come on, Tannor, drink up. How many ponies could say they've got their birthday on St. Patty's Day?
No, Cooper. You know I don't drink.
Came the sullen response from the cobalt blue Pegasus next to him.
Besides, it won't help me forget her.
1, you don't drink as much as me, but you still drink. 2, you and I both know it can help you forget the whole thing. And 3, it's your Luna-cursed birthday. At the very least, raise a glass to your own health.
Connor retorted before taking a swig of his drink.
Besides, it couldn't have gotten as bad as your attempted rose.
It was worse. I resented when I first saw her.
Cooper pondered what his friend meant before nearly spitting his cider across the bar.
Yeah, I said it was bad. I just couldn't help it. Those beautiful lavender eyes of hers are just so beautiful. The way she does her mane, it's a cute little bow tie of hers.
Cooper choked on another mouthful of cider.
You didn't go after Octavia, did you? Aren't you two practically cousins?
Celestia, no! We're not cousins. Just because we both have cutie marks in music doesn't mean we're related.
Tannor sighed heavily before returning to staring into his mug of cider.
I don't know what I'm going to do now. She won't even look at me.
Just move past her. Besides, in a few days, it'll be you and nearly every Pegasus mare in town flying south. Surely you could find some pony. What about Cloud Chaser?
Where's our team?
Flitter?
Tried.
Earhart?
With someone.
Thunderlane?
I don't think I... Wait, that's a stallion.
Just seeing if you're paying attention. But moping about it isn't going to change a thing. Tomorrow's another day. Now come on!
Cooper said as he raised his mug for a toast.
Fortune favors the bold, does it not?
Tannor responded by returning the toast and throwing back his head for the first swig. Brightening somewhat as he brought his mug down, he suddenly noticed just how thirsty he was, and within 5 minutes, another mug with his name on it was on its way down the bar. Tannor was beginning to enjoy himself again, joining the crowd in their raucous off-key singing. Apparently, Cooper was right about him forgetting his troubles, for after his third cider, he found himself eyeing the door for a possible date as they sauntered in for a night of revelry. His jaw dropped to the floor as a mint green mare cantered in and took a seat at the bar, quickly striking up conversation with Mr. Jigger. She obviously thought simply being green wasn't enough for tonight, as she wore an elaborate green blouse detailed with all manner of shamrock patterns and traditional designs. Before Tannor could get too worked up about asking her name, Connor nudged him in the ribs.
I know that look, Tannor. Who's the mare that caught your eye?
The Pegasus could only point limply in his impaired state.
Oh ho, Lyra Heartstrings. She's a nice one. Helped her and her roommate move into a new apartment not too long ago. Go ahead, get her a drink. You'll like her.
Wait, that's Lyra? Isn't she like a filly fooler?
He whispered, as though she might hear him from across the bar.
What? You're basing that on the fact she spends all her time with Bonbon, right? They just share an apartment is all. Heck, I even dated Bonbon for a while.
You did?
Yeah, let's just say she's not as sweet as her name implies.
Cooper said flatly. A sudden cheer from the mixing crowd caught their attention. Lyra had moved to the center of the tavern and began to dance a lively jig, much to the delight of the other patrons. Tannor idly followed her skipping form, the ciders or the music causing him to sway with the rhythm. He wasn't sure which influenced him more, but he didn't care. He got to see this wonderful mare dance the night away.
You should kiss her. She's Lyrish.
Tannor jolted from his stupor at the mention and whirled on his bar stool to look at Cooper, nearly falling on the floor in the process.
She's Lyrish.
What?
A slight hiccough was the only reply.
Every pony knows that on St. Patty's Day, you're supposed to kiss a Lyrish mare. It's tradition.
I don't know. What if I...
Tannor weighed his options as he took another look at the object of his infatuation. Her song had ended, and she was heading back to the bar. If it was tradition, who was he to say no? Besides, he did like Lyra, and there was a chance she might like him too. What was the harm? It was his birthday anyway. He deserved it! He furrowed his brows in a loose semblance of determination, and hopped off his bar stool, needing to brace himself on the bar.
I'll do it.
Whoa, easy there, Tiger.
Cooper caught his shoulder.
Not yet. Wait in the crowd until she's in the center again. Then kiss her. It'll be more traditional.
Cooper lied. While he did want Tannor to find a mare of his own, he loved to mess with the poor colt even more. Tonight was almost too perfect.
Okay, I'll wait for her.
Cooper let him go stagger off into the crowd while trying to stifle his own laughter. Jigger settled up next to him and began to wipe down their collection of mugs.
Who's he after this time, Cooper?
Lyra!
So you sent him after the Irish devil. Oh boy.
Cooper stopped his snickering.
Snowflake! Head down to Ponyville General and get Nurse Redheart. Cooper's friend is gonna need her.
She's already here.
The burly bouncer replied, pointing towards a far corner where Redheart was dancing the evening away with 4 other mares from the hospital, all dressed in shamrock printed scrubs.
Oh, good.
Jigger, just what in Tartaros do you mean by Irish devil?
Cooper asked as the band began again. He watched as Lyra left the bar and took a place near the center of the tavern. Tannor was nowhere to be found.
Ah, that's right. You moved in last May. Well, last St. Patrick's Day. Lyra came up all dolled up like she is tonight. She sang and danced and made a real impression on a few sore stallions. One thinks he can have a go at her, and before he knew it, BAM! He got a black eye. Another has a go and gets his lights knocked out. Deserved it, really. The bum tried to grab her flank. Anyway, long story short, by last fall, she punched out 9 of them. Even knocked out 2 more. Hope your pal's got good insurance.
Cooper's face paled. He dove into the group of patrons to find Tannor and save him from his fate. The crowd began to clap to the beat of the music as a few ponies began dancing along with it, Lyra amongst them. They all kept time, until Lyra decided to break into the song's verse. To see the lassie smile, laughing all the while, at me curious thought to send your heart to bubbling as to I was hard. Wages I required till I was almost tired of the rocky road of Dublin. The crowd filed away and circled her, allowing the mirror to have the spotlight. Cooper was shoved away towards the sides of the room in the process. Lyra's bright smile was infectious as the song continued into its chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, walk below the rock. Tannor let a small smile of his own grow upon his face. He was about to go kiss the most attractive mare he'd seen all night. His heart fluttered excitedly at the prospect. A huge part of him said not to do it, that it'll end in disaster. But a small voice in the back of his head deferred, calling out,
Do it! Fortune favors the bold! Kiss her!
As Lyra played to the other side of the ring of patrons, he stepped into the circle and approached her, his anticipation growing with each step. And the next arrived the thought is such a baby, so soon deprived of feet without fancy, so then I took a stroke, all among the quality bundling me stole in. Tannor shut his eyes and made his move. He quickly kissed Lyra right on her cheek as she was turning around. Immediately the crowd hushed itself as the band froze. Slowly he realized he'd done something unprecedented when the resounding silence hit his ears. He opened his eyes to see a scarlet-faced Lyra standing before him with her ears pinned back. He shut them again and braced for the heavy slap he was sure would come his way.
Come on. I'm sorry I did it. I should have known it wasn't tradition. Just do it and get it over with.
Cooper's blood chilled at the sudden silence. He didn't even need to see it. He knew Tannor had gone through with the kiss. He pushed his way through the crowd and found himself before Lyra, facing Tannor. The poor colt had his eyes screwed shut in preparation for the coming blow. Cooper tried to look away, but the scene was like an approaching train wreck. He knew the result would be a disaster he couldn't bear to watch, but at the same time, he couldn't look away. He waited and waited, and then it happened. But instead of the resounding crack of a hoof across a cheek, there was a soft smack as Lyra leaned in and returned the favor. At once, every jaw in the room dropped. Tannor tore his eyes open and still found a scarlet Lyra, although she was wearing a coy smile instead of a wrathful scorn. It was Tanner's turn to become crimson as he realized just what had happened. He became yet bolder and began to escort his new mare friend out of the tavern and into the cool night, but not before grabbing one more bottle of cider on the way out. As they departed into the evening, a lone, indignant voice in the back of the room called out,
Where did that come from?
Thank you for listening, everybody. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to know when I post more content like this. Feel free to follow me on TikTok, Patreon, X, and Discord. Links in the description. And should you want to join my new nation, feel free to join the Shade Hollow, my Discord server. Good night, everybody.